It's your Toronto Blue Jays off-season over-unders. Arden and Ben here from At The Letters, and if you listen to the podcast, you're surely familiar with our annual over-unders editions, in which Ben and I attempt to do something that really no one should ever do, and they say you actually can't do, and predict baseball. And those episodes are so damn popular that Sportsnet's asked us to check in with an off-season edition, Ben, of the Blue Jays over-unders. So let's get right to it. Our first over-under has to do with total spending this winter for the Blue Jays. So if you remember back to this time last year, last offseason, Hyun-Jin Ryu was signed to a 4-year, $80 million contract. Tanner Roark was signed, Shun Yamaguchi, Rafael Dolis. Blue Jays ended up spending $115.85 million last offseason. So that's where we have set the over-under for free agent spending for Blue Jays this winter. Ben, are you over or under $115.85 million?
Well, I'll start by saying this is a pretty high over-under. I mean, not a lot of teams in baseball spent more than this last offseason. But I think the Blue Jays are going to go over, and I'm taking the over because there are a couple different pathways for them to spend more than $115 million. And of course, that could happen with one player. If they sign George Springer, for example, that would send them over just with one player. And of course, they would still keep adding beyond that. So their budget has been clear to spend more than this. I think they would like to spend more than this. And even if they don't land George Springer, DJ LeMahieu, Trevor Bauer, those top free agents, I still think that there are pathways here where they sign, let's say, a Liam Hendricks and a Masahiro Tanaka and a Jackie Bradley Jr., and boom, all of a sudden you're over 110, 115, 120 million with a few of those deals. So I'm pretty comfortable here. I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I agree with you. And for similar reasons, the Blue Jays could do this in one deal. And I think the Blue Jays would like to do this in one deal if they're able to get one of those top tier free agents. But even if they do go to plan B and spread the money around, look, there's a world where you give Ha-Sung Kim $45 million and Michael Brantley gets 30 and Jake Odorizzi gets 35. I'm already at 110. And now it just takes a Brad Hand or
one reliever,
right? A Garrett Richards. Boom, you've surpassed last winter's spending easily. So I'm pretty confident in saying that the Blue Jays will spend more this winter than they did last. And there's a couple different ways that they can get there. Our second over-under is perhaps one of those ways that they get there, and that's internationally posted players. So that'd be players from Japan or from Korea who are available via the posting system. And it's a pretty simple one. Will the Blue Jays acquire one of these players or not? We set the over-under at 0.5 for internationally posted players acquired this offseason. And maybe I'll kick this one off, Ben. This is a super interesting market this winter. I mentioned Ha-Sung Kim. It's also Tomoyuki Sugano and Kohei Arihara out of Japan. And the Blue Jays are an interesting player here because they've been laying the groundwork for years, really, to be more active internationally. They've overhauled their scouting and on-the-ground apparatus in the Pacific Rim. They've invested a lot of time and resources there, and they've already dipped into that market a bit. I mentioned Shun Yamaguchi last winter, Rafael Dolis as well. So, I think this winter is a market that they were looking ahead to with some of that work is one that they'd like to invest in. So whether that's adding Kim to be a super young, versatile infielder, or grabbing Sugano to fill a hole in the back end of their rotation, I feel good betting that they will acquire someone who's been posted this year. So I'll go over.
I will take the under here. And my explanation for this might defy logic a little bit, so bear with me here. But I know the Blue Jays like Ha-Sung Kim and Sugano, and they're in that market. They have interest in those players, and they're now positioned at a time after signing Ryu, after signing Yamaguchi, they've signing Dolis out of Japan. They've done a lot of work in that market, so they're actually really well prepared to engage with it. That being said, the reason I'm taking the under here is that so are 29 other teams. This is not a market that exclusively interests the Blue Jays. There's a lot of competition there. So even though the Blue Jays' interest is sincere in that market, even though they have needs for those players, Kim would be a great fit, Sugano would be a great fit. I just think that there are enough teams out there that I'm comfortable taking the under here.
Yeah, and it is possible that another team values those players more than the Blue Jays do. And typically, with their national players being posted, the values can be all over the place. So it is possible that the Blue Jays get outbid there in that market. Our third over under has to do with the top of the free agent market. And we have used MLB Trade Rumors list of the top remaining free agents: Trevor Bauer, JT Realmuto, George Springer, Marcelo Zuna, DJ LeMahieu, Ha-Sung Kim, Didi Gregorius, Masahiro Tanaka, Jake Odorizzi, and Liam Hendricks. Those are the top 10 remaining free agents via MLB Trade Rumor. Ben, over/under 0.5 of those players sign with the Toronto Blue Jays. Are you over and under?
I've got to be over here. You have to be. At this point, I mean, the Blue Jays have talked about adding super high impact free agents. We have seen them linked to everybody. And there's reason to believe that they do have sincere interest in just about every one of those players too. It's not just the rumors. They have interest in adding to their team in a really meaningful way. And the best and most efficient, most effective way to do that is by adding a top player. Now, you could do it by adding a few players and trying to add a few wins there and a few wins here. And that's an avenue that still exists for the Blue Jays. And we'll see. It might be one that they take. But to me, right now, as we record this, I think the most likely, the best path ahead for the Blue Jays involves a top name and then further additions. So I will take the over.
Yeah, just considering the level of interest that the Blue Jays have expressed in top names this winter and how active they've been in that market, like I'd say it'd be a big surprise at this point if they don't come away with one of those names. And you were mentioning it might not be one of the big fish. It might not be a Bauer or a LeMahieu. But if the Blue Jays miss some players like that, then it almost makes it more likely that an Odorizzi or a Gregorius becomes the plan B, not only from the team's perspective and moving to their alternatives, but because the clubs that sign the top available players will be taking themselves out of those markets. So it'll only make the Blue Jays a more attractive option for those players that are remaining. And the Blue Jays will have money to spend, an opportunity to give. So it's a fairly easy over for me. Our final one here, Ben, over under 0.5 40-man roster players signed or acquired in trade by the Blue Jays before the new year. And we're throwing free agents in there as well. So it's free agency trades. Basically, do the Blue Jays do something by the new year is the question here. 0.5 players acquired. And this probably goes against my better judgment, just considering what we've seen so far this winter and the lack of high-end buyers and the willingness of free agents to be patient and to wait for their markets to develop. But I'm going to take the over. And maybe I'm just feeling optimistic. Maybe I'm trying to will some activity into the world and get something to happen. But I just feel like whether it's Ha-Sung Kim, who we know the Blue Jays have interest in and whose posting deadline is coming up on January 1st, whether it's a free agent deciding they want to have some certainty for themselves and their family heading into the new year, or whether it's a trade opportunity that comes up. And it might not be the splashiest acquisition. It could be a back-end starter or it could be a bullpen piece, but some trades can materialize and occur very quickly. And those things would obviously still count. So I think something will happen before the year is out. I'm choosing to be optimistic, Ben.
I like it. And look, I would welcome a transaction. It's been a while. It's always fun when the Blue Jays make some moves and we get to kind of analyze and discuss and look ahead. So I would welcome it, but I am not going to predict it. I will take the under here. I think if you're looking just globally at this offseason, not the Jays in particular, because they are one of those really active teams. They're motivated. They're making those calls, making offers in some cases. But this offseason just across Major League Baseball is moving so slowly. And so this is partly, there are tons of reasons for this. Partly, this is a product of agents. Some teams haven't set their budgets yet. There's uncertainty with respect to structural questions like playoff format, season schedule, DH. All these things conspire to just slow everything down. So eventually something's going to have to happen. But at this point in time, I can't bet on that happening in the next 7 days.
I'm sure you hope you're wrong, though.
Absolutely. It's always fun to have, let's hope that it happens not at 3 a.m. or something, but I would welcome a transaction right now.
3 a.m. Christmas Day, the Blue Jays make their big splash, and Ben is up out of bed, filing video reports and writing off of it. We'll see if that occurs. Hopefully, something occurs in this frigid off-season MLB market soon, so that we have some actual transactions to talk about. But that's it for Ben. I'm Arden. Talk to you next time.